All right, Anthony's model. So Robert Anthony described three levels of management within an organization. As you can see, that is strategic level of an organization. Okay, a strategic level of organization involves in goal setting. Uh-oh, just a second. Yeah. So strategic level involved in goal settings and objectives for the organization over the long term. Whereas tactical management involves, well, yeah, tactical management involves in management control. This means ensuring resources are obtained. Operational management, and then we have operational management. Okay, operational management ensures day-to-day tasks are carried out. So now what we have to do, a comparison of planning at three levels of management, that is strategic, tactical, and operational, right? Um, so far, so good. Whereas strategic planning, what are the strategic planning activities? As I said earlier, deciding which products or markets to be in, investment decisions, planning for environmental changes, identifying the competitive advantages of the organization, long-term time scales could be years. Okay, so let us note it down. Strategic planning activities. Strategic planning activities, deciding which products or markets to be in, investment decisions. Planning for environmental changes. Identifying the competitive advantage of the organization. And as I said, long-term time scale, which could be years. Now, what are the strategic control measures? Profits by, what can be measures? Measures can be profits by business segment, external factors influencing the organization, organization, investment appraisal, present and potential market studies. Now, as far as tactical planning is concerned, tactical planning activities include implementing the strategic decisions, often via long term, preparation of annual budgets, and comparison of actual results. With budgets on monthly basis. The equipment of staff, shorter term period for planning, Period for planning. Uh, that means typically 1 year ahead, and use of both internal and external information. Now, what are the tactical control measures? Okay, tactical control measures includes analysis of sales by product, customer, geographical location, inventory levels, cash flow projections. Then let us discuss about operational planning. Operational planning activities include routine planning, uh, routine planning, for example, staff rotas, program decisions. Program decisions, for example, ordinary inventory when inventory levels fall to reorder levels based on internal transaction based information. Operational control measures include variances, for example, material and labor, receivables or payable level, payroll details, customer complaints, and output records. So far, so good. And I hope you're getting to here. But just give me a second. I need to put the system on charging. As you may be noticing that I'm left with 13% battery. Just a second. Yeah, here we go. So the formal approach to strategic planning is strategic planning model described, as assumes a top-down approach to strategic planning, whereby a central board of directors sets the strategy and rest of the organization is expected to achieve it, where local decisions are being made by managers. For example, in case of decentralized organizations, there is a risk that decisions made locally may not be consistent with the strategy. So there are various reasons for conflict. There are several reasons why conflicts arise between strategic plans and short-term local decisions. Why conflicts arise between strategic plans and short-term local decisions. One, uh, one of the reason is managers incentive schemes may not be aligned with the strategy of the organization. For example, managers' bonuses may depend on the current year profits that could be increased at the expense of long-term strategic objectives such as quality. Another is local managers may have better knowledge may have better knowledge of local opportunities than the directors who set the strategy. One of the another conflict is long-term plans are prepared long before the period to which they apply. Actual conditions may be quite different. Local managers may feel that the formal strategic plan stifles their own creativity or ideas. It may not be flexible enough to allow unplanned opportunities to be adopted. And what can be the solution to the conflicts? Or I would say potential solution to conflict. I would suggest that, or we can say that parenting style may provide solution to conflict between strategic planning and local decision making. And under such an approach, uh, business units may formulate formulate their own strategies while head office may set may set broader targets for the business unit to achieve. So far, so good. I hope it's clear till here. Now we have one of the model, and which is known as SWOT more analysis. One SWOT, SWOT analysis. Well, what is SWOT analysis? A critical assessment of an organization of an organization, strength and weaknesses. Okay, and opportunities and threats. In order to establish its condition prior to the preparation of any long-term plans. So here it is. Now, S, that is SWOT, that is S stand for strength, W stand for weaknesses, O stand for opportunities, T stand for threats. Okay. Now, strengths establish reputation. Weakness, now strengths and weaknesses. Firstly, strengths and weaknesses. These two. Strength and weaknesses. These are the internal factors. You know, they are the internal factors of an organization. Uh-oh. Strength, weaknesses. These are the internal factors. Then we have opportunities and threats. These are the these are the external factors, right? Strength, you can say, is the strengths are the internal positives of the organization. Weaknesses are the internal negatives of the organization, whereas opportunities are the external Positives of the organization. Threats are the external negatives of the organization, right? Strengths, things it does well or things it has that others do not done well. Weaknesses, things it does badly or things it lacks. Opportunities, events or changes that can be exploited to advantage. Threats, events or changes that should be defended against. Right? For example, strengths, that is, the reputation which the organization established, the employees of the organization, high skilled labor. These are the examples of the strengths. Weaknesses, such as damage to reputation, um, high turnover, unskilled labor. So these are the examples of the weaknesses. Then we have opportunities. What are the opportunities? For example, rise in consumer demand, fall in interest rates, fall in tax rates, fall in tax rates, falls in interest rate, rise in consumer demand, um, favorable laws. So these are the examples of opportunities. Then we have threats, such as uh, fall in consumer demand, and international competition, um, rise in tax rates, rise in interest rates, unfavorable laws. So these are the examples of the SWOT analysis, and I hope it is clear to you folks. Uh, Now we have another, external analysis that is pastel, P E F T E L. So That means political, economical, social, technological. Oh, I have to do it again. Sorry. P E S T E L. Now, let us do it separately. Political, then economical, social, T, technological. Okay, first let us discuss these four factors and then we will discuss economic, environmental, and legal. So, political factors. The political climate can have significant influence on the performance of the business, right? Which includes, government stability, government stability, government policies, tax rates, interest rates, attitude of government toward business. Right. Then we have economical factors, which includes GDP rate of the economy, um, fiscal policy, fiscal policy to influence aggregate demand. This is done with adjustments in tax rates or in government spending. Uh, we can again say that tax rates, or an increase in government spending would increase aggregate demand and economic growth. Okay, financing costs, financing costs, uh, increasing the cost of financing for companies, for example, can impact the economic environment of the country, strengthening domestic currency as a result of higher interest. This may mean that exporters are, bank reserve requirements or directly lending money to finance institutions. Then we have another factor, that is social factors, which include demographic changes, which includes the birth rates, the death rates of the particular country, increasing number of pensioners, increasing demands of package holidays for senior citizens, attitudes of society. Attitude of society, for example, increasing health and consciousness, leading to increased demand for sports equipment, declined demand for tobacco products, uh, changes in population. Changes in population growth rates and life expectancy, for example, an aging population may imply a relatively smaller workforce, so fewer people are contributing to economic growth and paying taxes. Then we have technological factors. Technological factors, technology. Yeah. These are changes in technology that may affect an organization. For example, the development of electric cars clearly affects the automobile industry, but also affects taxi companies, reduced fuel costs, and road taxes. Technology factors include, increased automation, communication methods, big data, the internet, right? Then we have another factor, which is, environmental, or you can say ecological factors. Environmental factors, also known as ecological factors. So the physical environment of a region may have a direct impact on organizational performance. Some sectors are particularly vulnerable to environmental shocks, such as agriculture or tourism. These could range from short-term shocks, such as floods, you know, volcanic eruptions. Is there any some disease outbreak? A few years back in 2020, 21, we had an coronavirus outbreak to long-term and which gives changes the long-term trends such as rising global temperatures that influence climate changes. Climate was drastically changed. There were because of the less pollution in the world, because of the stoppage of the production and all. And then we have legal factors. Legal factors, include employment law, data protection law, for example, health and safety law. So these are the things for the legal factors. Now, be careful in the examinations. So, in the examination, one of the biggest mistakes made by the students in the examination that they interchange legal factors and these political factors. They interchange it, but it's a totally wrong approach. The legal factors and the political factors both are different. Political factors will look at the political stability, the government stability, that sort of stuff. Whereas legal factors only concern with the legal factors, that is the laws. Okay, then I hope it's clear till here. Now we have another model. Sorry for that. It's my, I always do this. Anyways, then I have Porter 5 forces model. So Porter 5 forces model actually look at the market conditions, the how much competition is in the particular industry, and it has various components, the 5 components to analyze the competitive rivalry. Sorry, so we have to analyze the competitive rivalry. What it In it we have to look at bargaining, power of customers, bargaining power of supplier, threat of substitute product, and then threat of new entrants. Let's assume, let us take the organization to analyze the competitive competition in the industry, and I'm taking accountancy as an example for it. Accountancy, the online school provides online classes to all the ACCA students all over the globe. Right now, we have wave factors. For example, what do you think about the bargaining power of customers? Bargaining power of customers. You know, it's they have low switching costs. They can travel. They just have to call the institutions. Low switching costs, right? Uh, they just call to the institute and they take their friends along with them, take the admissions. That's it. So it's a bargaining power customer is high. Now the bargaining power of supplier. We have Kaplan, we have Studia, we have BPP. The books are easily available. So it's low in this case. Then threat of substitute. If not ACCA, we have students have various options such as CA Pakistan, CA India, ICA EW. They have CMA. They have option of LLB. They have option of MBBS. Right. So it's also high. Whereas threat of new entrants, threat of new entrants, uh, low investment, easy loss. So it's also high. New entrant can enter into the industry. So the overall competitive rivalry, you see, it's high, right? Now, um, let us assume another industry. And now this time we will look at the civil aviation industry. That is, Emirates. Emirates, the airline. Okay. Where what do you think about the bargaining power of customers? They have to call to the agents, they will visit websites, they will compare the fares, and they will switch. So switching cost is low. Uh, Overall bargaining power of customer is high, whereas bargaining power of supplier, it's all they have only two suppliers, Boeing, Airbus, and obviously they will charge what they want. So bargaining power of supplier is also high. Threat of substitutes. They can travel by a car, they can travel by a train, they can travel by a share. Lots of options. It's also high. Threat of new entrants. Strict laws, high investment. So threat of new entrants is low. Overall competitive rivalry is high. So that's how it works, right? I hope it is clear to you guys still here. So as far as the APM is concerned, you know, uh, that was a concept which is revised. Now the key performance indicators. When conducting a five forces assessment, an organization will need to consider what they need to consider. Number one, how to measure the strength of the forces, how to measure the strength of forces, and how reliable those measurements are. How to manage the forces identified. That is, to mitigate their influence on the organization future performance, and what performance measures are required to monitor the forces. Are required to monitor forces. So clearly, there is no one set of KPIs that can be used in all cases. There are various KPIs which we have to look at. Um, for example, for threat of new entrants, it can be number of new entrants joining the industry. Industry and last 12 months. Ratio of fixed cost to total cost. Market share over time. A high market share over time may indicate strong customer loyalty and data. New entrants, capital requirements. If high, this may act as a barrier to entry. In case of high, barrier to entry, right? And another KPI is cost per unit compared to cost leader. Customer loyalty, maybe measured by number of repeat customers. Then we have bargaining power of buyers. Sorry, bargaining power of buyer. Now, what do you think? What are the examples for the bargaining power of buyers? You know, there can be number of alternative suppliers. They can be cost of switching. A high number increases the power of increases the power of buyers. Cost of switching suppliers. High cost will make customers less likely to change and so reduces their bargaining power. For example, if a car manufacturer decides to switch to a new supplier of braking system, it may incur additional costs in redesigning other aspects of the car. One more is customer turnover, discounts, customer discounts. Now let us discuss the KPIs for bargaining power of suppliers, which includes number of alternate suppliers. High number reduces the number of individual suppliers, like that cost of switching. High cost will make it less attractive to switch to a different supplier. For example, effective working relationships and processes are likely to exist with the current supplier, but would need to establish with a new supplier. Percentage increase in cost. If managing a low cost is essential, any increase in cost will likely to reduce the number of viable alternate suppliers. Threat of substitutes. Threat of substitutes in a way will look at number of substitutes, what substitutes they have, uh, a relative price of substitutes. Unique product features valued by customers. A product or service that includes features that substitute do not provide is less vulnerable to substitutes. Now from it we will be able to get a rivalry between existing customers. Here we will get rate of market growth, market share, price relative to prices of products offered by competitors. For example, if a competitor reduce their prices, some customers are likely to switch to them. Okay. So the five forces model was primarily designed as a strategy tool to help businesses identify strategic options. It can also be used as a performance management tool to assist in managing factors relating to the environment. The advantages and disadvantages of using the five forces model for performance management are, it focuses the attention of managers on the external environment so they are aware of changes and can plan how the organization will react to them. The model has a very logical structure focusing on five areas of performance management. The forces change over time. For example, barriers to entry should be seen as a temporary rather than permanent because potential competitors may find ways around the barriers and the models may give a false sense of security to managers, which leads them to believe that they have perfect knowledge of the external environment. This is unlikely to be the case. So far, so good. I hope it is clear till here. Now we will continue this in our next video, next class.